I feel like Capcom are learning a harsh lesson right now that you can't just sell a very unfinished product that lacks pretty much all of the features you'd expect, call it finished, and slap a $60 price tag on it. As Capcom have updated their sales figures for its video games overnight, and it is looking pretty diabolical for Street Fighter V. Basically, Capcom said that it shipped 1.4 million copies of Street Fighter V since it came out in 2016. That's the exact same number that it posted it back in May. Basically, this means they sold fewer than 100,000 copies from May to the 30th of September. Can you say ouch? Because that's an ouch. Especially when you consider that Capcom had hoped to shift 2 million copies by the end of March. So basically, not only are they horribly behind their expectations, the game is just not selling well at all. So, let's talk about why this probably is. Well, the launch is definitely, I would say, one of the biggest contributing factors, if not the biggest contributing factor, because, well, as I said, it launched, it had the multiplayer, it had a joke of a story mode, and that was about it. Right? I mean, there was maybe a couple of things thrown in, but it was lacking in arcade mode. Again, the story mode was an absolute joke and could be completed very quickly. There was no real story mode. The tutorial mode was just not what I was promised, to be honest. It was not what I expected at all, and it was just very lacking. I've said before that I feel like because the reason they said, to kind of backtrack a little bit, why they released it in the state that it was is because they wanted to give their pro players time to prepare for EVO and the Capcom Cup and so on. And, you know, that's fairly reasonable, but here's what you could have done, Capcom. Sold it for, I don't know, $20, $30, something like that. You know, I'm just throwing prices out of my arse here. And called it the esports edition or tournament edition or something, and sold it to people who were aware that they were buying an incomplete product and just wanted to play the multiplayer, either because they wanted to play it or because they're training for the tournament or whatever. Then it would have been clear from the start that this game is incomplete right now, but we want to give our pros and our fans, if they are interested, time to prepare for EVO or just to enjoy the multiplayer. The issue, of course, is that it was priced at a $60 price, and obviously when people got in, it was severely incomplete. You know, it took Capcom months to even add a story mode. Street Fighter V is a pretty big embarrassment, not only to the Street Fighter series, but against other fighting games that are, of course, are its direct competition. So there are definitely ways they could have avoided the disastrous launch of the game, and it wouldn't even been that hard to do, to be honest. Just be honest at the fact that it's unfinished, or just release it in early access, or whatever. However, as we all know, it doesn't just come down to the horrible launch. There's been questionable decisions since then regarding the DLC. Now, I've spoken before about the Capcom Pro Tour DLC that came out around EVO, and this did not go down well, because yes, some of the money went to, or in part to the tournament scene, you know, funding the prize pool and that sort of thing. Capcom was charging about $10 for a game stage, which is absolutely ridiculous. So they're overcharging for not much content, and obviously some people, you know, were like, okay, so if we want these costumes, we have to pay out the arse, and I might not care about esports. I mean, I personally do, but I'm just speaking hypothetically here. You know, someone who doesn't care about esports but really wants these costumes is probably going to be a bit smidge pissed off, to be honest. And obviously the stage as well, you know, that was probably unwise. And there were costumes thrown in as well, as I've discussed before. So, it doesn't stop there though, does it? No, I want to get off Capcom's wild ride, but it doesn't stop yet. There was all that kerfuffle about the PC version, as when it updated, as I discussed a while ago, there was an update that installed a rootkit. Yes, there was a file in System32. Did not know that folder could be edited, but fun fact for the day, it can. And of course, the damage was undone. They eventually rolled the update back, but this didn't exactly go down well, that people found a rootkit on their machine and it was basically behaving like malware. Now, I'm not saying, like, you know, rip Street Fighter V or anything. They do still have a chance to salvage it because, well, it's Street Fighter. and that name does still carry a lot of weight despite the damage it's taken over the past few months thanks to the disastrous launch and follow-up months of the game. Of course, we have various pieces of DLC, you know, we've found favourite characters like Guile, Buki, Jury, and Urian, and so on. But, you know, you're not going to buy DLC for a game you don't own. So, you know, while the DLC is great and all, they really need to kind of rescue Street Fighter V from the pits of a negative image in people's minds, and that image is well deserved, might I add. You know, people are viewing this game negatively. When they think of Street Fighter V, they probably think of the bungled launch, they probably think of the too expensive DLC, they probably think of the fact that Capcom has been pretty silent, they probably think of rootkits. None of these things are good. So, you know, they need to just pull their finger out, do some heavy marketing or something, discount the game heavily, something along those lines to get people playing this game. Obviously, one of the best ways to salvage it would just be to re-release Street Fighter V as a Super or Ultra or Street Fighter V, the second one, you know, whatever they want to call it. Re-release it with all the content, maybe for a cut-down price and, you know, apology or a public statement or something to acknowledge that you cocked up, please. That would be good. And then maybe it can be saved, because there is a good game in there. That's the sad thing. It's not a bad game. It was just missing a bunch of stuff. Now that the stuff's in it, cool, but too late. And now the game is suffering for it. And to be honest, the game needs a rebranding. It needs a kick up the arse, it needs a marketing campaign, it needs someone to come down from high and rescue it from the pits of oblivion. So, hopefully Capcom can rescue the game, to be honest, because, you know, there is a good game in there that deserves to be played, but it's just not selling. Love to hear your thoughts on this topic, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.